What up, gang? We're back. Episode 158 in the jar. Football show. Amongst many other things, we are officially on to Super Bowl week. It is Super Bowl week. And for the boy, it's also, for your boy, me, it's also competition week. So, I got to click record here so that we have an audio episode. And let me tell you, do not feel like being here today. I'm just going to be 100%. We're blessed to do this show. We're blessed to have the capabilities, the technology, the knowledge. But there's something in my legs today that's just barking a little bit of resistance. And as a lot of the great ones I know do, they show up anyway. You know, I knew it wasn't going to be a lighthearted endeavor when I decided to do a live show every single day. But I figure as long as we do the preparation, we know what we're talking about, bring a little swag, a little charisma, that it's going to take care of itself. And so that's exactly why we're here today. It's February 2nd. And I thought we'd talk about some college football. Pro football inevitably going to come into the picture, but some interesting conversations going on in the land of the SEC. Obviously, where it means more, you're going to be talking about it every single day of the year. Gus Malzahn announced his retirement after 35 years. Spent time at Auburn, Central Florida, Florida State, now done with coaching. Won himself a national title in his first year as a head coach with the Auburn Tigers. That was the Cam Newton year. Wait. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, right? Or was that Gene Chizik? See, this is the kind of day we're having. That's going to bother me. Yeah, it was. Okay. It was Gene Chizik, and Gus Malzahn was the OC. Gene Chizik, I knew that sounded a bit off. So, where are we with our SEC predictions? I know we covered a fan survey on the show last week. You know what, guys? You know what I'm going to do first? I mentioned I was feeling a bit of resistance, and I wanted to bring some philosophy onto the football show today. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Real Mozare, what up? Milan Roke, what up? I love Jimmy too much. Hey, I got a fella named Jimmy that I love too much as well. Shout out to everybody. We're going to do our best to keep the juices flowing. Try to bring a little swagger to this production. If you guys have anything at all that you'd like for us to talk about on the program today, just pop it in the chat. We're working on a call-in line. I don't know if I want to do live call-ins or just do voicemails, kind of Theo Von style. I think both would be pretty fun, and we'll work on getting some. I've already got a couple really good ideas for folks that would be really great guests here on the show. So expect some changes moving forward. Not that I don't like what we're currently doing. What we're currently doing is what has gotten us up in the air at work. Just a baseline thing. But like I said, man, just a little bit of a crick and crackle in my bones this morning. It's competition week. I got my jiu-jitsu debut on Saturday. So I just woke up today and was feeling a bit of resistance. I was like, damn. And I'm sure we're going to feel this as we move into the offseason with football, there's less going on. And it's like, damn, like, what are we going to talk about today? So I pulled up some quotes that I want to share with you guys. A little philosophy on the matter of resistance. We talk about resistance in the context of self-resistance, feeling like you don't want to do something that you know you need to do. If you're a writer, it's that feeling you feel when you sit down to write, before you first start. If you love going to the gym, it's that feeling when you're sitting in the car right before you get ready to walk in there for a hard workout. It's basically that feeling that tries to keep you from doing what you know you need to do. And so we'll just go down the line with some of these quotes and kind of see where they leave us. And then we'll get into college football. I'll deliver on what the title says, what the thumbnail says. But here's the deal with the show, guys. If you're new here, welcome. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're the fastest growing football channel in the land, In the Jar Football Podcast, where we kind of put ourselves in a life-size mason jar for a little bit on the show in the most fun way you can conceive of. My college football coach came up with this phrase. He was an old Southern guy from Macon, Georgia, and he used to come up to it and say, "Now, Dupree, are you in the jar today? You going to be in the jar today, Dupree?" Ask it, get a little puckered up, get a little pissed off, get a little piss and vinegar about you, rant a little bit. But I figured as we come into the offseason here with football, we're going to have less and less football to talk about. There's always going to be something, but I wanted to incorporate a little philosophy as well today. And the first thing I got, let's just read down the line here and see where we go. Where your fear is, there is your task. Carl Jung. It's pretty good. Moving along. I mean, think about that, man. Whatever you're most scared of is probably what you got to do most. I remember thinking about starting this podcast. I remember thinking on doing this, thinking about it, not doing anything for almost 2 years. I was thinking to myself, God, I'd love to have a podcast. I'd love to start a podcast. But how do I do it? I'm scared. I'm scared of sharing my thoughts. I'm scared of sharing myself with people. And that kind of led me to where we're at now. It's something I feared. And we got random ad user says, "Bro, you look like an absolute Chad." Thank you, sir. Or madam, probably sir. Let's move on to the next quote here. And I won't put you guys to sleep too long. If you came here for football, hang around and you will get what you wanted. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Interesting. That's another one from Carl Jung. Every act of creation is first an act of destruction. Pablo Picasso. Not sure if I understand that. Every act of creation is first an act of destruction. Man cannot remake himself without suffering, for he is both the marble and the sculptor. It's kind of interesting. Like, we all know that suffering is important to the human experience, but a lot of people try to avoid it. I've tried to avoid it a lot of times, and I struggle to explain why suffering is important to being a good human. You just experience it, and you know this is helping me. Controlled suffering, obviously. Self-induced suffering. Training hard. Cold plunge. Stretching. Doing things you don't want to do. It's hard to explain verbally, but when you experience it, when you're in the middle of a hard round with an absolute killer and you're getting smashed and all you want to do is quit, and then you finish the round, there's something to be said for that. There's something valuable that you got from that. Moving on. Man cannot... Okay, we already said that. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. I don't understand it. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to... I see. If you're doing what everyone... what this quote is saying, I'll read it one more time. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. What that's saying is that if you're fitting in or being reasonable according to others, somebody tells you you're crazy because you share some aspiration with them, you tell them something you want to do, and they say that's crazy. Well, they're probably the ones that are crazy. Well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. That's pretty obvious. The worst enemy to creativity is self-doubt. Look, hey, man, I read that before we came live, and, I was thinking, I was like, and sharing these things are still uncomfortable. But I've been a couple clips behind. I set a goal for myself for this show for the year, and I had a number of shorts that I wanted to post on social media before the year is over. And I've missed some days. I've fallen behind on that goal. And so I'd finished everything up last night that you want to get done on a Sunday. And I said, let's see if we can sift through some shorts, some AI generated or whatever you want to call it, shorts. And I spent good time watching these. I got into it, and I just couldn't find a single clip that I wanted to post. And I was like, do I have... I was questioning myself, second guessing myself. Do I have any juice? Am I just going through the motions here? And then I had a dream last night that for some reason I was doing stand-up. And I didn't prepare or nothing in the dream. And I go up there and just completely bomb, get booed off stage. And it was a moment where I was like, damn, man, we've been doing this for a while. We've been doing, objectively not very long, but we've been doing this podcast for a little bit. And it doesn't matter who you are, man. Self-doubt will creep in. These demons sometimes, these negative thoughts, let's call them negative thoughts, creep in on you. I was listening to my friends doing a podcast, Sean O'Malley and Tim Welch. They were doing a podcast, and Sean was talking about how he was facing negative thoughts the week of his fight 2 weeks ago. And I've gotten to know these guys. I've gotten to spend a good amount of time around these guys. And Suge's one of the most confident people I think I've ever met in my life. And it was completely, unexpected or just completely perspective changing to know that somebody like Suge, who exudes so much confidence, can still get these thoughts, negative thoughts, self-doubt, and it's a complete. It's a good reminder that we all get that kind of thing. Okay, moving on. And then I promise we'll get to football. I wanted to talk philosophy today. There's nothing going on, by the way. There's nothing different other than the fact that we don't have as much football going on. There's nothing. I just wanted to share some of this today. Interesting. Freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. I'll share this one, and then we'll get down the road here. And I'll share. I got three. Let's look. I got three more, and then we'll move on to football. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Doesn't matter where you get. Doesn't matter what you achieve. Doesn't matter how much wealth you accumulate. The things that get done are still the things that need to get done. Does not matter. Does not matter how we feel. Doesn't matter how much recognition we get. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Got to show up and do the thing. Show up and do the thing with your full heart, whatever that might look like that day. Doesn't matter. Chop wood, carry water. I'd love if life was that simple, wouldn't y'all? Just chop wood, carry water, just do the things. Probably in 5 years or 10 years or something, we'll have robots that'll chop wood for us and carry water for us. Outsourcing repetitive tasks. I don't know if that'll be a good development for humanity or a questionable development for humanity, because I think there's a lot of virtue that comes from doing the repetitive activities, doing the monotonous activities. You get in this state of flow. Like even doing my laundry last night, I'm folding my laundry up, and you have great ideas when you're just doing a mundane task like that. I feel like I do, at least. Okay, two more, and then we'll move on to football. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That is all. I think people mistake living for all the positive things, feelings, sensations, experiences, all the positive, all the high highs. Everyone's like, this is living. How I feel right now is living. But then you come across one subjectively negative experience or feeling, and all that goes away. You don't think I'm living anymore. You think, why is this happening to me? Why am I feeling this? When in reality, both sides of it prove that you are living. If you're getting 40-degree water up to your neck, it's subjectively not going to feel great. But that feeling makes you feel just as alive as if you got a 10 out of 10 Instagram model massaging your back. It's the same, different sensations, same realization. I'm alive. Okay, last one, and then we'll move on to football. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. It's important to be able to monitor our thoughts and the way we think about things. If we're not conscious of it, we're not aware of it. The universe, the world, God, however you want to look at it, might start making its own conditions around our lives instead of us taking the power and having our own conditions. Okay. I don't know why I wanted to do that today. I enjoyed that. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Maybe got something out of it. We got folks popping in and out of the live. We got some folks in the chat. Corey, what up, big baby boy? Appreciate you, man. Corey's been a loyal fan of the show. Really appreciate Corey. I'm sure Miss Lindsay will pop in here and a few others, a few other reliable folks. Now, moving on to football. Gus Malzahn retired. Don't know much more than that. Gus Malzahn, I know, was running that program at Central Florida. He had a decent relationship with my former linebackers coach from Samford. They were on staff together at UCF. And so I've never heard a bad thing about Gus Malzahn. Never heard anybody say a bad thing about Gus Malzahn, whether that's coaches I played for that knew him or players, former players that I knew who played for him. But I think the major aspect of our show today is going to be talking about who's going to be top dog in the SEC. I made that the title of the episode. I made that the thumbnail of the episode. There's a lot of other content in here today, but I felt like this is what we would have most fun talking about. So last week, there was a survey that was released, and it was what SEC football fans thought about the future of the conference, the future of college football, who the fans thought would be the most successful in the next 5 to 10 years. And before I share who was at the top, maybe I'll give the chat a second to guess what football programs in the SEC that fans guess would be at the top. I might be committing a stupid act doing this. Let's see if anybody pops in here. Who do you think will be the best teams in the SEC next year? I'm getting angsty. Corey said they finally fired that idiot from the metropolitan area, Minnesota, who the F let Sam Darnold walk out. Yeah, they did fire that GM. They let him go. So the three programs that fans thought would have the most success in the SEC in the next couple of years is Georgia, LSU, and Texas. Lane Kiffin's been the star of the transfer portal. The first couple of weeks, the transfer portal opened up. Ole Miss fans were clamoring, saying Lane Kiffin's not gotten anybody. The Fiesta Bowl played out. And when Ole Miss beat Georgia, people thought Lane Kiffin looked like a complete ass. And you had those kids all, like Kawan Lacey said he's going back to Ole Miss. And a bunch of other kids. I can't remember the specifics of it. Dude, I feel like garbage today, by the way. I don't know what it is. My legs are just really barking. I'm not going to complain any more than that. But Lane Kiffin's turned it on in the portal the last couple of weeks. He's been the star of the portal, complete overall at LSU. He got Sam Leavitt from over here at Arizona State. I worry that, I don't worry. I don't really care about Arizona State, but they might have had their one and only shot over there at ASU 2 years ago when they almost beat Texas. That was an insane game 2 years ago, by the way. But now you got Kenny Dillingham, the head coach over there at ASU, once a promising young star in college football head coaching, at least for that 2024 season. when they almost beat Texas in the Peach Bowl, I believe, in the playoffs. And now you got Kenny Dillingham going to the local Phoenix media, basically clamoring for somebody to step up and donate. I don't think he's ever going to get a player like Scatabo again. And Kenny Dillingham ideally would have jumped ship from ASU and gone to another program, but either A, he believes in the program still, even though he's going to the media and desperately requesting donations, or B, he's not wanted in a coaching cycle anymore. He's not the new toy in the room anymore. So Sam Leavitt leaves it from ASU. God, this is just I was trying to be witty there. God, stupid. Okay, but he's heading to LSU, and so Lane Kiffin got his quarterback. He got a apparently a offensive tackle who is a first rounder. Put this roster together, but Lane Kiffin, as much as we talk about Lane Kiffin, and I am Ole Miss biased, so it's easy for me to talk bad about Lane Kiffin. As much as we talk about Lane Kiffin, the guy has not even been to a national championship yet as a head coach. So in this new era of quick turnarounds, not just in college football, but pro football too. We talked about this all last week. New England Patriots don't get enough credit for the rebuild that they put together in a year because of past success. Everybody else is taking note of that in football. Athletic directors, university presidents, general managers, owners. If you don't get things turned around in 2 years or less in college football, or really should be pro football as well, you're hosed. Unless you're the Cincinnati Bengals. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you're okay with selling enough jerseys, selling enough tickets, collecting the NFL revenue sharing check at the end of the year. I'm not talking about the Cincinnati Bengals in this context. I'm talking about normal franchises, normal college athletics programs that actually care about winning championships. As much as we talk about Lane Kiffin, look, this guy has got maybe 2 years to win a national championship at LSU. Maybe 2 years. If they're disappointing next year, I wouldn't be shocked if they shit canned him. Wouldn't be shocked at all. And think about the roller coaster that could be. I'm not wishing ill on Lane Kiffin. I'm not saying this is what is going to happen. But let's say LSU has a really disappointing season next year. I'm sure they'll let Lane Kiffin coach through the year. But let's say LSU has even 4 losses next year. Is there a chance that Lane Kiffin gets fired next offseason? I wouldn't put it out of the question. I wouldn't put it out of the question at all. That is how short the leash is in college football, and I think pro football as well. This is a big topic, macro topic we talked about a lot. Because I think what's going on in college football is actually bleeding into the professional game, coaching carousel included. So Kiffin's challenge is converting portal talent to championships. A lot like what John Calipari's job at Kentucky basketball all those years before NIL was. John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats basketball program in the 2010s was NIL before NIL. And everybody's saying they're mercenaries. You can't do it this way. It's not the way to do it. And they might be right. Because guess what? Of all the years that John Calipari spent coaching basketball at the University of Kentucky. They have one national championship to show for it. 2012, Anthony Davis team. And I think the only reason that team won it is because they had all the stars aligned. And also, again, basketball is different than football. We all know that. But that 2012 Kentucky basketball national championship team had a couple of older guys on it. A couple of guys that had been to the Final Four before on it, like Terrence Jones. You guys remember the lefty 3-4 combo player, Terrence Jones? Ended up not having a great career in the NBA, but he was great in college. You had Deron Lamb, the shooter, the shooting guard, who had come back from that 2011 Final Four team. And those two guys comboed with three freshmen, Marcus Teague, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and Anthony Davis. That proved to be the right combination for that year. But I always notice when John Calipari's Kentucky teams didn't have at least one or two guys in the lineup that had been there, done that for at least the year before, those teams proved to not be able to get it done, at least if you're looking at it in terms of championships. So with football, you're doing that on a much broader scale because you're not just dealing with 5 guys anymore. You're dealing with 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense in a much more physical, violent game. It's much more team-oriented than basketball, I would argue. But Lane Kiffin's trying to do this portal assembly job. He's trying to be the John Calipari of college football in the new era. John Calipari had a lot of success, by the way. I'm not dumping on Coach Cal. So you get a quarterback, you get a first-round tackle, you get some other pieces. You got insanely high expectations of Baton Rouge. Everybody was talking about this when Lane Kiffin took the LSU job. This LSU job is like the hot girl in class, the 10 out of 10 in your social studies class, but she's crazy. And she has a nasty habit of rotating boyfriends. But she's beautiful. She's intoxicating to be in front of. That's the LSU job. High expectations. If you don't take me to a steak dinner for the first date, I'm out. If you don't spend $100 on me on the first date, I'm out. And since she's so beautiful, a lot of men will be like, okay, whatever you say, sweetheart. That's the LSU job. Lane Kiffin, again, 0 national titles, 0 Power 5 conference titles, 0 playoff wins. And we're talking, but to his credit, man, we live in an attention economy. And Lane Kiffin keeps us talking about him. 0 championships, 0 playoff wins, and we still talk about him. He's doing something to keep us talking about him in an attention economy. So I doubt that Lane Kiffin's going to finish his career with 0 national titles. I worry a lot, though. I worry a lot about the state of college football for somebody like Lane Kiffin going to a program with expectations like LSU. Dude, if you lose 4 games next year, you could get fired next offseason. That would just be bonkers if they fired him midseason, if something went so terrible. Like, I can't imagine that, but we have to be comfortable with the fact in college football today that we need to imagine the unimaginable. So you take someone like Lane Kiffin. Assembling is easy. Winning is hard, right? Star-studded portal class is the best class in college football. Can he win in January? And so we're stacking up what someone like Lane Kiffin is doing against what someone like Kirby Smart is doing. Kirby Smart's more of a program builder, which some are saying in college football that that's an antiquated approach. Can you believe that? Developing players, putting time in on guys. Some people are saying that's an antiquated approach. And they could be right. Because it might not be the optimal return on your energy and your time to pour into guys anymore that could leave campus the next day if you look at them the wrong way. But Kirby Smart has found a way to be successful. I think Georgia is going to be the top dog in the SEC next year. Some people are saying Texas is a national championship favorite in college football next year. They got the best player in the portal, Cam Coleman. I think he's a receiver. He's being compared to Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith. And Arch Manning played really well down the stretch at the end of last season. Again, a lot of people are predicting Georgia will end the SEC's national title drought next year. Is it Kirby Smart's way, which is program building, or Lane Kiffin's way, portal assembly? We'll figure out which one works better. It's basically two philosophies competing. Kirby's building, Lane Kiffin's assembling. So you got Kirby Smart's approach. You're building a program. You're amassing high school talent. You're retaining players. You're developing players. Gunnar Stockton's a good example of that. He's coming back. I think Gunnar Stockton's still underrated. I think he should have been higher on the Heisman ballot this year, quite frankly. And the performance he put up against Ole Miss. I was watching NFL Films yesterday, Super Bowl replays. NFL Films had a marathon of I think I put it on in the morning, and it was on the 2000 Super Bowl 35. And then by the time I was wrapping up my day, they were showing last year's Super Bowl 59. And so it's just a marathon of all these Super Bowls. And so in passing throughout my day, I would see the different Super Bowls that have occurred basically since I was a conscious human being. And I noticed a couple times performances that guys put up that I completely forgot about because these guys were on the losing team. Right? I talked about the last rendition of this Super Bowl right here. Super Bowl 49. Super Bowl 49. 11 years ago, that would be 2015. Yes, the Malcolm Butler Super Bowl. Patriots versus Seahawks happened right here, 20 minutes from where I sit in Glendale, Arizona. I forgot all about the performance that Chris Matthews put up for the Seattle Seahawks. Chris Matthews was a receiver. He was number 13 for the Seattle Seahawks. I remember he recovered a huge onside kick, maybe a couple huge onside kicks throughout Seattle's playoff run that year in 2015. Caught a touchdown, a back shoulder touchdown in the Super Bowl. This guy was a Kentucky product. And I remember watching him at Kentucky, and he probably wasn't even the second or third best receiver on Kentucky's team in the early 2010s. And yet this guy, in the biggest moments for Seattle, stepped up, catches a back shoulder touchdown, makes a huge couple plays. I'm watching the replay of this Super Bowl yesterday in passing. Chris Matthews is standing right there next to Pete Carroll. And I had forgotten all about his performance, not just in that Super Bowl, but throughout the whole postseason. I'm pretty sure Seattle played Green Bay at some point in their playoff run in 2015. And Chris Matthews seemed to thrive most when the lights were brightest. And I've forgotten all about it because Seattle had ended up losing in the Super Bowl. And it's funny how that works. The reason I bring that up is that I had forgotten how Gunnar Stockton had played for Georgia just a month or two ago in the Sugar Bowl. I had already forgotten about it. How gutsy Gunnar Stockton played against Ole Miss. The hits he took, and he'd get right back up. Delivered throws, even though he knew he was going to get absolutely tattooed. And so, I don't know how you couldn't put Georgia at the top in your early SEC football rankings at this point, with Gunnar Stockton coming back, with Kirby Smart at the helm. I still believe in program building, man. I still believe in deep depth charts. That's the way it was when I was playing, and I know it's hard to let go of things. You know, they didn't have what we had. You know, but I still believe in program building, and it's hard to doubt coaching excellence. Definitely among the top 5, Georgia. So let's read our little outline here. New reality. Recruiting rankings don't predict winners like they used to. Indiana broke the formula, old roster and portal assembly. SEC still amasses talent at remarkable pace. SEC will win again, and maybe as soon as this year. Somebody said, I would still go with amassing high school talent and retaining as possible, but Indiana proved you can do it another way. 2 philosophies, both could work. 2 philosophies, both could work. Yeah, I don't think you really have to choose one or the other. I think you go with either and find a way to win. But I think as a head coach in college football today, you got to know which one you are and attack it. I don't think you could be in the middle on it. Maybe you could, though. Maybe you could be aggressive in the portal to a certain point, and then once that's shut down, you really sell your guys on a vision. That's what I feel like. I'm not a college football coach. I haven't been one before. But I think the job in college football as a head coach is still the same job at its core that it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. And that is sell a room of guys on a vision. As a head coach, you got to have that vision for the team. You got to have a clear vision. It's just like running a company. I've never run a company either, but I read a lot of books about how to do it right. And everything I read talks about getting buy-in from everybody on the team on a vision. And it's crazy to me that some people start on these endeavors without even having the vision clear to themselves, let alone being able to communicate it to other people and get buy-in on it. It's the vision. It's like what Mike McDonald did for the Seattle Seahawks during his first team meeting a year or two ago. It's January. It's 30 degrees. NFC Championship. Hell for them. Perfect for us. Right? You paint the picture. Then you get the visual cortex of everybody in the room kind of churning a bit. And they think, and they're able to visualize it with you now. And it's like, okay. Shows you why the Seahawks are where they're at. So we're talking about the how with these guys. How are these guys building their rosters or programs? One of them, Lane Kiffin's choosing to hit the portal hard and kind of put a John Calipari type job together, assembling a bunch of great players and then figuring out how to get them to play as a team. While Kirby is still objectively in this situation a bit more old-fashioned. Let's recruit high schoolers. Let's keep them here. Let's keep depth charts deep. That's what Saban did. That's part of why Saban left college football, because he knew that he wasn't going to be able to have Derrick Henry willing to sit at the second or third slot in the depth chart for a couple years like he was able to sell guys on for so long as Alabama's head coach. You can't really do that anymore in the portal. And you definitely don't have any names like Nick Saban to even have a chance of selling any kids on that at this point. Maybe Kirby or someone like that. But I still don't think it holds a candle to Nick Saban, you know. So the big question that needs to be answered before we go is, and we might have already answered it, is which one is the right way to navigate as a college football head coach? Do you still focus on retention, development, building a team of guys, not just for one season, but for the next 4 seasons? Or do you hit the portal hard, high turnover, mercenary style, John Calipari style in college football? And I think the answer is, as much as you can hang in the middle, as much as you can address both sides of the equation, I think that's what Curt Cignetti did well this season with Indiana. He hit the portal hard. He understood that older cats will probably do well under pressure, more mentally developed. But then he also seems like the kind of guy to develop you, pay attention to a player's development once you're in the building. And so maybe the answer for succeeding as a head coach in college football these days is focusing on development when no other coaches feel like it's a worthwhile investment of their time. Being willing to do what nobody else is willing to do. Y'all think about that, man. Get out, do something cool tonight for me. I'm going to go get ready, get dressed to go train some jiu-jitsu. It's competition week, so I'll probably be hitting it pretty good tonight, hitting it pretty good tomorrow night, maybe start toning her down Wednesday, drill only Thursday, Friday, and then we'll go out there and try and smash some people on Saturday. It's my first competition. I'm definitely feeling the emotions, and the week's just started. It's competition week. What up, New York? NYG edits 1. I imagine it's New York Giants edits 1. Guys, if you're in here for the first time, welcome to the show. We are winding it down today, the live version at least. Make sure you like and subscribe. I imagine that the algorithm brought you here that you like football. If you like football, you're going to love our channel. So go check us out. Or do whatever you got to do. Audio episodes are live everywhere, every platform you can think of. You can watch replays. If you're just popping in, you can watch a replay of this episode on my channel. Head on over to the channel now. Click subscribe. Helps us out tremendously. And let's have a good week, man. It's competition week. I'm getting everything finalized with camera work and things like that, but I should have a vlog from competition day. It's going to be a hell of a day. One of my best buddies is fighting, defending his championship belt later that night, and we should have a vlog for you on that. So we'll keep you updated on that. We'll obviously be here every single day throughout the week. Monday through Friday, we're live around 6:30 Eastern. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. And with that, I am going to send you guys on off into the sunset until tomorrow. Let me know if you got any questions, anything that you guys would like me to talk about. And if you want to holler at me, you know where to find me. So holler at your boy. And y'all take care. Until tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.